us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Whopping Wednesdays. Whopping on Wednesdays. I didn't know what else to come up with. I just didn't. Oh, Leisure, I'm glad you're here. I found a second Jimi Hendrix shirt. I was wrong. I have two Jimi Hendrix shirts. I just forgot about this one. I even picked it out because I'm like, oh, I have another Jimi Hendrix shirt. I think Leisure would like to see it. So there we go. So, live. All right. Thanks, man. This one's V'd, so it's not all pulled right here. Morning, Amber. Morning. You guys probably haven't noticed, but I've been losing a lot of weight. You notice my second chin is gone too. That's kind of nice. I can actually see my belly button without having to move anything. I've never had to lose weight before, ever. If anything, I've tried to be gaining weight since as long as I can remember. All right. Even in my 20s, I weighed probably $120 wet. I've always had a real solid foundation, though. It's hard to knock me over. Most of my weight's my legs. I'm like a hobbit. You can't really push me over. I'll just tumble that way a little bit. All right. So thanks to Rice and Chicken, here I am. Thank you, Rice, Chicken, and broccoli. Got to throw some cheese on there, though. All right. I don't really go out of my way to lose weight. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's nice to see me toes again. Them little wiggly things at the end of my feet. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I'm in a good mood today. All right. I'm in a good mood. Looks like a friend of mine are going to go down to a church and tell them the truth about some things. It's part of that's it. That's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah. They just, leave it where it is. Leave it where it is. I'm doing my best not to talk about those things here anymore, and we're going to stick to entirely the solution. That other stuff it doesn't even need to be posted anymore. I posted something about it yesterday, I think, and I took it down. The only thing that I really should be posting are my videos and what I'm doing. Other than that, it doesn't really need to be on Facebook or everywhere else. It doesn't even really need to be talked about, honestly. All right. Well, guess what time it is? It is time for Dion to get some time together so he can be. I started 5 minutes early. I could have gotten this together. But oh well. I'm also having a fantastic hair day. I am. Look at this. Look at this lush curly hair, man. And I'm on a roll. Welcome to the Me Show. It's all in good fun. All in good fun. All right. You know what time it is? It's time for Dion's Daily Funnies. That's what time it is. Let's get to it. In America, using the metric system get you in legal trouble. Me think that using the metric system, because we use the metric system to deal drugs. That's what went through my mind. Whether that's correct or not, I do not know. But if somebody can explain that very plain, probably clearly funny joke to me, I would appreciate it. What do you call a line of men waiting to get haircuts? A barbecue. A barber queue. Yeah, I got to work on my jokes. We got Jeff Allen coming on in a week. I'm so excited. I'm prepared. I'm already prepared. It's nice. I don't know how much more prepared I could get. Now, the cool thing is he's going to go live. So I encourage my listeners to join us. Please join us live Wednesday, the 21st. I know you want a time. Okay. It is going to be at 2:00 Mountain Standard Time. We will be going live. Now, keep in mind that if you ask really silly questions or whatever, we need pertinent questions or whatever, but you are more than welcome to join us. I'd love to have you there. All right. So back to the jokes here. In fact, if you sneer at another method of measuring liquids, you might be held in contempt of court. Court. Leisure says, lush was the first word that came to my mind when I saw your hair. That's better than we've been doing better than these jokes. Who were the greenest presidents in the US history? The Bushes. Yeah. My hotel tried to charge me $10 extra for air conditioning, and that wasn't cool. In fact, it was uncool. Actually, it was very cool. That's kind of too cool. What do you call a beehive without an exit? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow. Do. No regrets. We will not regret the past, nor shall we wish to shut the door on it. That's what we'll be talking about today. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. That's it. Memorize it. Remember it. Dion. It's not tough. It's not tough. Backwards, my name is Noid. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatcher. My rewatchers, start saying stuff, man. Say hello, Dion. You're the best. What luscious hair you have. I certainly hope my rewatchers are going to enjoy this one. I really do. If you're having half the fun I'm having, right? So that's on page 83, but really we're talking about regret and not being the boss anymore, right? You are not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now, and you're not so tough. They're actually bringing Malcolm in the Middle back out for a limited series, which I think looks pretty good. I'm a big fan of almost all those actors. So, all right. So regret is a common enemy. It is actually a common enemy of ours. And I watch people work. I watch people live in regret all the time, and it's unnecessary. It is not a requirement. Okay. Regret is not a requirement. Now, what's happening? Well, that regret can cause pain, and that pain might create motivation. So, is regret necessarily a bad thing or is it a good thing? Hmm. All right. Sorry about that. That'll end. See, I've been smoking less, and because I'm smoking less, I'm coughing more. It's getting out. So, I apologize, but I'm trying to become a better person, right? So, regret doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing. Now, let me talk a little bit about that before we get into everything else. Okay. If somebody that raised me, I'm going to use the man that raised me. Let's say he died tomorrow. Okay. Now, there was no ninth step. There was no clearing of the air. There was no the sweeping of. There was no. There was no reciprocal forgiveness. That's okay. Everything that has been needed to be said has been said. I went and took care of the rest. See, it's no longer a requirement for me to sit down and say, you did this, this, and this when it comes to this person anymore. I had to work through it. Did it happen? Do I still want them to admit it? Yeah, I do. Absolutely, I do. Because they'll be more free. They'll find more freedom, and that's what I want for them. I no longer need the other side to reciprocate in order for me to heal. If he was to pass tomorrow, there would be no regrets. Would it be sad? I don't know. I'm not going to what if it. I'm not going to what if something like that. Nah, I don't what if death. But there is nobody in my life at the moment that I am aware of that if they were gone tomorrow, that I didn't say what I needed to say. And I'm regrets perfect right now because a lot of suicide going on. I hear a lot of people taking blame for other people, and I get it. I get it. Could I have done more? Could I have? The answer is no, you couldn't have. Isn't it weird that when we are in this situation, we still go through the same patterns, even though we'll tell somebody the opposite of what we're going through? Huh. Okay. Grief comes in many forms. Guilt is one of them. It is part of the process. Yeah. Guilt is part of the process. Regret is part of the process. But you don't need to sit there. Right? And I hear a lot of people taking on regret that they don't need to take on. There's a way to do this. Steps 4 and 5 will get rid of your regret if you do it thoroughly. Yeah. So, at first, regret can feel useful because it's going to give you that motivation. It provides the pain. The pain gives the motivation. Pain is the touchstone of almost all change, right? That's what they say. But what if we make the decision to change before the pain happens? You can make that decision. Pain is not a requirement for change, although it's usually the thing that produces it. Right? Ah, don't wait for the pain to come around to make a realization and make a change. Not required. Right? But if you stick there, what's going to happen is you are going to construct your own prison. You will now be living in Hotel California. You're always welcome, but you don't get to leave. Right? Even in this song, they talk about the fact that you hold the Eagles constantly talk about the fact that you hold the key to your own prison. What is that key? It is the key of willingness. Did you thought you were going through a door to get to somewhere else? No, you were escaping a self-constructed prison when you walked through that door of willingness. That's what was going on. I'm just realizing that. I don't know if it's true, but I just made it up. It just popped into my head. I don't know where that came from. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. It's got to be right then. It doesn't feel wrong. Just another way to look at the door of willingness, I guess. So what did regret used to do? Well, it used to keep me stuck in the past. Yep. My mind would just live in the past, or it would future trip. It would create conversations. All right. Like a friend of mine we may go have a conversation with somebody here. It used to be my mind would go forward, be like, okay, this is what I'm going to say. I don't even do that anymore. Or at least I try not to. I do it less. How about that? I do it less. In this case, I'm not doing it. I don't need it. I got something else. A clear mind, a clear conscience, and I got the word of God. I don't we're going to talk to a priest. So this shouldn't be too tough. It shouldn't, right? This person isn't doing anything wrong. There is no reason for anger or angst or any of that. Mm-mm. Right? Thank thank you, God, for letting me be a better example. Thank you. Um, Leisure says we will have no Eagles talk. Where eagles fly. Probably the worst Van Halen song ever. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Van Halen. I love Van Halen. I'm a big Van Halen fan. Dion loves his rock and roll. All right. So let's just break it down. David Lee Roth was the better lead singer for Van Halen. Sorry. That's just how it is. Sammy Hagar is a fantastic artist in his own right. He doesn't need Van Halen. Okay. But another very good artist. The Van Halen gave us such a wide arrangement of music. But I got disappointed because Van Halen went from sex, drugs, and rock and roll to love. We're having fun here, folks. We're having fun here. David Lee Roth, better lead singer for Van Halen. Sammy Hagar, more talented than David Lee Roth. That's my opinion. So regret isn't proof that bad. It is proof that we actually care. Yeah, you care. Even when you were drinking. Right. It is always what we do with it that matters. That is always the point. It isn't whether or not you're feeling something. Okay. It is what you do with that feeling that matters. At at any time. I don't care. All right. Leisure said that solo Sammy Hagar, not Van Halen. Yeah, okay. Where eagles fly? Was that solo Hagar? I believe you. Yeah. But I like more of his stuff. I can't drive 55. I like it, it is the angsty rock and roll. I love it. So thanks for correcting that. See, an example where you can be wrong. Now, if I was new to the program and somebody said something like that, I would have cried because I was so sensitive. I would have been upset that I was wrong. This has to do with regret. Absolutely, it does. See how it's okay to be wrong. Right. Yeah. Van Halen, Van Hagar, two different bands. I would agree with that. Um, I think we can all agree on one thing. Eddie Van Halen was probably one of the best guitarists of all time. Thank you, Eddie Van Halen, for all your music. Thank you for making my life better. We love you, Eddie. Rock on. Okay. So we care, right? Now, what it used to do is it would fuel our shame and punishment, right? So if I'm depressed and regret comes along, I'm now doubly depressed. I'm going to use that to continue to keep myself depressed. I can't quite help it. But the key is what if I am aware of what is going on with me, I can change it. Right? I can change it. So what was it? Well, the regret wasn't helping me learn because I was doing the wrong thing with it, right? What it was doing is it kept me in the past is where that kept me. And what a great excuse to drink. What great reasons to drink. Regret. Yeah. If somebody in my life passed away, oh my God, I'm going to sound like an asshole. I almost got excited because I had a great reason to drink for like the next week. I didn't have to come up with anything. Didn't I? And I know I'm not the only one where their brain does that to them. Okay. There is no need to beat up on yourself. Okay. Those aren't my thoughts. Those are the devil's thoughts. Those aren't mine. We can seem really fucking mean and callous, but we can also be very, very nice. Let's find the balance in there. Don't be nice, be kind. Right. Leisure says Sammy Hagar makes me cry. That's where eagles fly. Where eagles cry. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take responsibility. Responsibility is what defeats regret. Hey, guess what I did? Look what I did. Look, I just admitted something. Something kind of horrible, man. I just got a message that says, "What were you thinking?" For a minute, for a second there, I'm like, "What the fuck did I do?" It's from my bonus daughter. I sent her a message saying I want to do my wife's birthday is coming up, and I haven't said anything. Got the grandkids this weekend, so I'm trying to do a little surprise for her. See how easily we feel guilty? Isn't that funny? But responsibility, taking responsibility for what? My actions, right? We agree on that. We can all agree on that. It's the other two where people get a little sticky. I gotta be responsible for my emotions. You probably agree with that one. It's really the third one that people get tripped on. You got to be responsible for your triggers. If you don't want to live with regret, you are going to have to take responsibility for those three things: your actions, your emotions, and your triggers. If you can do that, you're going to live a pretty free life. Is it going to be that way all the time? No. Some days are, different. Just call them different, right? So responsibility equals ownership. And then if you add action to that, what does that equal? Well, it equals that freedom. Freedom from what? We talked about it in the beginning. Freedom from the bondage of self, my self imposed prison that I have put myself in and kept myself there so that I could justify my behavior, a behavior which is no longer acceptable. What is that? Well, it's insanity, and it's time to get out of the insanity. It's time, right? So responsibility moves us forward, but regret keeps us looking backward. Now, do I live with zero regret? I don't know. No, I don't. Nope. There is a regret that I don't hang on to it. It's not like I have it full gripped and I think about it all the time. Okay. I wasn't a very good father. It still bothers me a little bit. Even though my kids are back in my life, I have great relationships with them. Okay. But what does it say? It says we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Do you forgive and forget? No, you don't, because you're an alcoholic. We forgive, but we don't forget. All right. And that's all right. But we're not shutting the past on it. We're not shutting the door on our past either. Why am I doing that? Because I'm going to need to utilize my past to help other people. But I can't be embarrassed by it anymore, or I'm not going to be able to utilize it anymore. What does that mean? It means I have to take responsibility for it. And now that I've taken responsibility for my actions, I get to speak freely. And what is that? More freedom. All of this. All right. So regret is not the boss anymore. Part of your regret is a boogeyman. Doesn't exist. Now it's saying I still hold on to a little bit of regret as a father, but it isn't so overwhelming that it freezes me like it used to. It motivates me to be even better. That's what it does. I use my regret to be a better person. And I have a little bit of regret there, but only there. No guilt, no shame, no blame. That part doesn't even need to be there anymore. All right. So Leisure says this recover thing sure sounds like it takes a lot of self-searching and house cleaning, Dion. Thanks for a great leeway there, Leisure. You're right. It does going to take a little bit of self-searching and some house cleaning. It says in the big book that recovery is in the beginning is going to seem more like racking dilemmas and problems because it is, but eventually, okay, but there is a vast fun about it. See, we have fun while we're doing it. It's kind of the key to what we're doing. Michelle says, excellent. Thank you. You are welcome. But I'm not sure if you're thanking me or not. So, but if you are, you're welcome. So we do have regrets. No, people running around saying no regrets have no empathy. Narcissists do not, right? No empathy. They don't have regrets. True narcissism. Okay. And that's making the rounds again too. Not there aren't that many narcissists in the world with the amount of it. And you don't get to call somebody toxic or narcissistic. That's name calling. I'm not justifying what they did, but if you're name calling, well, you're in the same boat as them. Two peas of a pod. You attract what you are. You attract what you want. All right. So I didn't erase the past, but I did definitely learn from it. Where does the shift happen? Between 4 and 9. That's where the shift for me happened. Might happen differently for you, but that's also where the shift happened with everybody I've worked with. And patterns don't lie. I got a cough real quick. Thank you. Right. So we make amends wherever possible. We start accepting what cannot be fixed. Now let's go back to the man that raised me. They are not willing to fix it. That's what it is. End of sentence. Period. Exclamation point. My older brother flat out said, I am not doing a 9th step with you. See, because they don't want to have these conversations. Now, we have a couple of choices here. We can kind of get angry because they are not doing what it is that I am doing, and I want them to, so that I can get what it is that I want, or I'm going to need to accept it. I'm going to have to accept it. All right. What I did is I went to therapy. I went and talked it out with somebody else. I did some EMDR. That really helped me. Mostly I had to get rid of my angst and my anger towards them, and that took some time. I prayed for them for years. I still do. I still pray every morning, and sometimes I'm like, God, why am I praying for people that aren't even in my life? Because you need to be better, Dion. That's the answer. So, what does it mean? Well, now we're talking about change behavior, aren't we? Yeah. The biggest regret almost always seems to be the kids, the significant other and the kids. And then we make the mistake of, you got to change before you approach your kids again, man. It's going to take time. If they are adult children, this is what I would recommend. Put on the blinders, go get a sponsor, do 90 meetings in 90 days, go work through the steps. That's going to be my answer. Okay. And leave them alone. Leave them alone. You're still full of shit. If you haven't done the work yet, Dion, when he does not do the work, is full of it. And an alcoholic without accountability with the best of intentions is wrong. That's been my experience. Am I always wrong when that happens? No, but I'd say a good 90% of the time, and that's a good enough number for me to make change. So, when does the regret stop losing its power? And the first thing you have to do is stop punishing yourself for things other people have done to you. I deserved it. He didn't. Well, there were some things that I kind of felt like I deserved. Like when I had a weekend party once and we ruined my parents' TV in their bedroom. So they sold some of my stuff to replace it. That is the only one I can think of where it was legitimate. Everything else was physical punishment. So we stopped using the past as a weapon and we let growth replace guilt. And then what happens when we get to that point? Then guilt or regret, right, becomes a past that can inform me, not run my life or for me to run from it. Courage, courage, courage. God. The love of God is what works here. So, self-forgiving is not forgetting. Right? You might need to forgive yourself for putting yourself in some situations that placed you in a position to be hurt. That's the forgiveness. Dion, I'm sorry I did that to you. Have you ever said, I am sorry for what I did to you, to yourself? Do it. Do it more than once. Do it several times until you keep saying that to yourself till you believe it. And you'll know because your gut will tell you. Right? Leisure says, but what about the guy I saw on Instagram that wanted to wanted me to buy his guaranteed recovery program? Put away that pocketbook. There's more. It slices, it dices. It'll change your whole world. Right? Forgiveness allows responsibility without destruction, right? So, forgiveness is responsibility. It is you taking responsibility for your actions. Good job. Good job. If you've done that, 90% of the people in the world have not done that. Okay. If you work these steps, you are going to lead a different life than most of the people that you meet. If you do this program correctly, you'll walk into a room and some people will walk out. Sometimes you'll walk into a room and other people in another room will follow you because you're going into that room. That is what will happen. Now, be the one to start it. Zero sum is what we call it, right? So what does the progress in this look like? Well, you remember when you had a problem and it's all you thought about and it's all you thought about all day. And eventually you were like, Dion, would you just shut up? Would you just shut up, dude? Remember that part? Yeah. See, now I get to easily let these things go because I practiced certain things. God saved me from being angry. Oh, man. I say that at least twice a day, at least. Okay. It used to be a lot more. Okay. Because even the cats irritate me. Everything, when I walk around and say everything irritates me, you know what? Then everything's going to irritate me. Can you guys hear him whining? He's like, are you talking bad about me, Dad? Come up. All right. So fewer mental replays. Okay. You're going to correct yourself quicker. All right. Leisure says, I'm on one today too. It must be Wednesday. Michelle says, no, I think AA, the 12 steps is all I need. Actually, love is all we need. So you don't think God plays a part in it? I'm not sure what I said where you're saying that's all you need. Or are you just trying to get me to sing some more? I bet that's it more than anything. See, but the 12 steps is God. So, but yeah, I think you're putting that to song right. So now I'm getting it, Michelle. Now I get it. All right, less time in yesterday is progress. When we have 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, we're gonna piss all over today. All right. So bring it back to today. Focus on your living amends. Move forward. Motion over rumination. Ask God, what can I do right now to be of service to you and the world around me? Ask, what do you need from me? Set yourself up to succeed, right? So regret isn't gone. It is not gone. It just isn't in charge anymore. Good stuff. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And keep on